Hello again, welcome to another lesson in geometry. Today we are covering section 3.6, constructing parallel and perpendicular lines. Alright, so write T for true or F for false on our vocabulary. A rectangle has two pairs of parallel segments. So this is going to be true. The red ones are a pair of parallel segments, and the green ones are a pair of parallel segments. A rectangle has two pairs of perpendicular segments. This one, unfortunately, seems like it should be true, but it's false because there are more than two pairs. There's this blue pair. There's this green pair. There's a red pair. And there's a black pair. Okay? So there are actually four pairs of perpendicular segments, not just two. Write alternate exterior, alternate interior, or corresponding to each diagram and each angle pair. So the first one, these are interior, so this is alternate interior. These are both in the bottom right, so this is corresponding. And these are outside, so the exterior, the interior is in here. So these are alternate exterior. Okay. All right, down below we have the word construction. So construct is the verb and constructive is the adjective for that noun. The main idea here is construction means how something is built or constructed. In our math uses, we're going to construct geometric figures using a straight edge and a compass, no ruler, and no protractor. Okay. All right, so complete each statement with the correct form of the word construction. You construct, so this is our verb, sandcastles on the beach. Okay. The construction, this is the noun, this is what they did. They made a construction on the highway, caused quite a traffic jam. And our adjective here, the time you spent working on your homework was constructive. It helps you. Okay, problem number one, constructing parallel lines. The diagram at the right shows the construction of line M through point N, where line M and where line M and L are parallel to each other. Why must lines L and M be parallel? Okay, so let's take a look at it. So first, the diagram shows the construction of the congruent angles 1, that's right here, and the other congruent angle NHJ, that's right here. Okay. Now, those marks, those little red marks on there are how they did that angle construction again. So what they did was they already had this line. They put the compass point on H. They drew a little arc. Then they moved the compass point to N. They drew another arc. And then they went back down here where the blue arc intersected with that line right here. They put the compass point and they made this little arc. And then they measured that same arc here. Okay, so that told them how to draw in this line because we had the angle marked. Okay, so circle the description of the angle pairs that were constructed. They're both in the top right, so this is corresponding. They are same side, but they're not interior. One's interior and one's exterior. They are congruent to each other, okay, because we built them congruent. We measured the angles with our compass, okay, and they're definitely not alternate interior. They're on the same side. So explain why lines L and M must be parallel. Okay, well, they're parallel because we constructed a transversal. And then we constructed corresponding angles that were congruent. Okay, and then by the corresponding angles postulate, we could get parallel lines. Therefore, comma, by the corresponding angles postulate, we have parallel lines. So remember, the corresponding angles postulate says if the corresponding angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So number 2 says constructing a special quadrilateral. So quadrilateral is a 4-sided figure, and it's going to be special because it's going to tell us how to do it, what they want the parts to be like. All right. So got it here. We're going to draw a segment, label its length M, and then we're going to construct a quadrilateral ABCD with AB parallel to CD, so that AB is equal to M's measure, and that CD is equal to 2 of M's measure. So we want 2 parallel segments, one that's M long and one that's 2M long. So underline the correct word or symbol to complete each sentence. So construct parallel lines. We want to build parallel lines. Okay. Oops, we're going to underline that. So let's try that again. Construct parallel lines. Okay, so we're going to draw AB. Okay, and then draw point D not on AB. And then draw AD, the length of AB, okay? And we're gonna make that be M. So we know that the length of AB is M. And then at D, that point that's not on that segment, we are gonna construct TDZ so that it is congruent to TAB, okay? And we'll look at this in a second, what that means, okay? To DAB so that TDZ and DAB are corresponding angles. This proves that the 2 segments are going to be parallel to each other. Okay, and then we'll measure the length of M, which is AB, and we'll construct DC so that it's twice that length. And then we'll draw in BC. Okay, so let's do this construction and see what they're talking about. All right, so the first thing we're supposed to do is draw AB into a line. So we have AB, that's the segment that we drew, so construct AB. So we're going to have that length already, and then we're going to extend it into a line so we can see what's going on. Now let me use a different color there so we can see it a little better. All right. So I took AB, I changed it and made it a line instead of a segment. We're going to do it in red, and then our regular construction is going to be in black. Okay, so we'll move the ruler up and we'll darken an AB part in black. Okay. All right. Now, AB is marked length M, so we're going to need to make the next segment on the top be twice that long. All right, so now draw a point D not on AB. So I just take my pencil or pen up here and I'll put point D and we'll stick it right there. Okay, and then draw AD. So once again, we're going to have to take our straight edge and we'll line it up with A and D and then draw the line that goes through it. So we're going to draw this one in red too. Part of it will be black afterwards because part of it will be one side of our quadrilateral. So I'll change it to black and I'll darken in AD. So now we have 2 sides of our quadrilateral drawn so far. Okay. All right. Now we need to construct a congruent angle. So we want our angle to be, the angle DAB to be the same as some angle up here. Okay. So draw, construct TDZ. So we'll put T right here. And then we need to make Z out there somewhere so that when I connect them, it'll make parallel lines. All right, so all I have to do is get congruent angles. So I'll take my compass here and we're going to go ahead and mark how we're going to make congruent angles out of this. And we'll do the congruent angles in green, this construction. So first we'll mark this angle. Okay. And let's spin it around so it's a little easier to move again. And then we'll take our compass without moving it and we'll put it on D. Okay. And we'll mark this angle again. Okay. All right. Now, to do our measurement, we put it on the mark that we made. So remember, we've done this before. So we will rotate this around a little. Oops. And then we have to try to get this piece, oops, on here. So we have it at the 2 intersections. And almost got it. There we go. So where this green angle crosses here and here, we want to mark one side there and one side there. So then I'll make this mark And this tells me how to measure the angle. I know how big it is based on my compass. Then I go back up here and I do the exact same thing. All right. Now I can take my ruler, my straight edge, one more time. I'll put the corner on D, and then where these two cross, I'll put the other one. Okay, so now I can make my straight edge through here. I'm going to make this whole line be red. All right, and then I'm going to come back in a second and make part of that line be black based upon how far does it need to go. So what's the measure of it? And that's easy to find out. This was the easiest thing, was measuring and copying over a segment. Okay, so all I need to do is grab my protractor, or I'm sorry, my compass, and measure out that segment. All right, so I need to know the segment from A to B. How big is it? Oops, rotate back over there. All right, so I measure AB's length, mark it so I know what it is, and then without changing my compass, I'll measure AB once. Now that has the same length of M, but I want it to be twice M, so without changing it, I'll move it out here and measure one more time. And now I'm ready to connect my whole quadrilateral. So I take the ruler and my straight edge, and I'll mark in the dark part for the two M's, ends right there. And then I'll take my straight edge and I'll put it on B, and I'll connect out to there. All right, so there is my quadrilateral. And my special quadrilateral has been constructed. Let's get this out of the way here. So that, let's mark it, do it in blue here, so that this side is parallel to this side. And also this length is half as much as this long length, or the long length is twice as much as the short length. So my quadrilateral is in black. I'm going to shade in the inside a little bit to show you where it is. So there's the quadrilateral. That's in here. It's got four sides. And this side right here is twice as long as that side. And those two sides are parallel to each other. Okay, on page 3, problem 3 here, perpendicular at a point on a line. So if we had a line, and like maybe EF here, our job would be to construct FG so that FG and EF are perpendicular to each other at point F, okay? So we want it to be the right angle to go through one of the points we know. So if we just had a line with 2 points on it, we pick one of the points, in this case F, and we would just measure the length from F to E, okay? And then without changing the position of our compass, just flip it around and then make this arc over here. So that's what they did. They made that little arc. So now we have 2 points that are equidistant away from F, the place where we want our perpendicular line to go through. Okay, and then all they did was put the compass point on E and then open it up so it's more than halfway between E and H, the new point that we made over here, or so that it's bigger than EF. Think of it that way. And then they made a mark by spinning it up here, and then they went over to H without changing it, and they made the same mark by spinning it here. Okay, and then when they found where those two places crossed, they just connected it up. All right, so the construction, that's how we made it, and our job is over here now to write in the steps. So what were the steps that we did? Okay, so step 1 was to draw the line and label points E and F. Okay, so that's what they did. They drew this line, and then they labeled E and they labeled F. Okay, step 2 was to make the compass open to EF. Okay, and then use that to mark FH. Okay, so in this case, we put in this new mark. Let's get that out of the way right here. Okay, all right. Now step 3 is going to make the compass open to a measure larger than EF. Okay, so we put the point on E, and then we put the point somewhere out past F. Okay, all right, and then the draw in arcs. Above F. So we made this arc right here. All right, and then step 4 is without changing our compass. So move compass point to H and make another mark above F. Okay, so we move the compass point over here and we make that mark. All right, when we're done now, we just have to connect FG. To make the perpendicular line through F. Okay, and we're finished. All right, down below, postulate 3.4, the perpendicular postulate. Complete the statement of postulate 3.4 below. Through a point not on a line, there is one and only one perpendicular to that given line. Okay. Circle the diagram that models this postulate below. So through the point not on the line, there's one and only one perpendicular point through that line, and that's going to be this one. This is the only one that draws the perpendicular. So here's P, not on this line, and here's the one and only one perpendicular that goes through it. Neither of these are perpendicular, and none of these three are perpendicular. Okay, on our last page, problem number 4, a perpendicular from a point not on a line. So we have a point up above our line, and we want to try to draw a line that's perpendicular and goes through our point to the line that was given. Okay. All right, so draw a line CX at point Z, not on CX. Construct ZB so that ZB is perpendicular to CX. So we have a Z, okay? And this is going to be our line CX. So we construct CX and we have Z. And then we want to make a new perpendicular ZB. So B is going to be over here. That's going to be perpendicular to CX. Okay. All right. So let's go through the steps first, and then we'll go back and do the construction. So open your compass to a size that is going to be greater than the distance from Z to line L. Okay. And I've already got mine open to that big. So something bigger than from Z to the line, okay? All right, with the compass tip on Z, draw an arc that intersects line L at, we're gonna need to make it intersect at 2 points, okay? Once over here on the right and once over here on the left. And then we're gonna label the points on C and X. So that's because we wanted it to be CX, the name of the line, okay? And then we're gonna place the compass point on C and make an arc below L. So we're going to put it wherever C is, we're going to make an arc down here. And then with the same opening and the compass tip on X, we're going to draw another arc down here below line L. And where those two intersect, we're going to put B, okay? And then we're going to draw ZB, which will now be perpendicular to the original. So let's take a look at this construction and see how it works. So the first thing we were supposed to do is put our compass point on Z and then draw an arc that intersects line L twice. All right, so there's my arc that intersects line L twice. Get this out of the way for a second. And then we're supposed to label the intersections. Let's see, we said to label them C and X. So we'll put C right here and X right there. Okay. All right. Now, we take our compass one more time. We put the pointy in on C, and then we open up our compass so that it's more than halfway between C and X. So I need to open up mine a bit more. All right. So more than halfway, and you can kind of eyeball it with Z here to make sure that you're more than halfway. And then we draw an arc, and we'll do some spinning first. Down here somewhere so that it goes below Z. So, all right. So we'll draw my arc. All right. And then without changing our compass, we put the point on X and we draw the arc again. Now, where the two arcs intersect, that's going to be our new point. So we'll put a point here, and this guy is going to be called B, okay? And then we draw in ZB, and we're done. Okay, so we take our ruler, we put it on Z and B, and we draw our nice line that's going to go between them. Okay. All right. Now, what do we know about ZB? ZB and CX should be perpendicular. Oops, we'll extend this out a bit more. So we can mark that perpendicular. So there's our right angle. So this line, ZB and line CX are perpendicular. All right, that concludes the notes part. So the bottom one, we're not going to turn it off today. So suppose you use a wider compass mark in exercise number 18. So the first one, what if we made it wider? Would it change our answer at all? And this should be no. Explain why it will not construct a different perpendicular line. There is only one perpendicular line through another line, okay? So there is one and only one line perpendicular to another. There is one and only one line perpendicular to another. One and only one line perpendicular to another. You just can't make more than one. Okay, so if we had done a bigger arc for the red one, we would just end up with a point somewhere else on this line, and then we would make it there. Okay, all right, that concludes the notes for the day. You should have a good idea once again of what a construction is, what does parallel mean, and what does perpendicular mean. Okay, so parallel and perpendicular lines, how to construct them. Make sure you're somewhere down here, and that's going to require you to be able to construct congruent angles also. Okay, I'll see you in class next time.